at some points I feel sad for younger generations because they will never get to experience the kind of India I got to experience, which was of so much mysticism, of going into mountains, living in jungles, meeting babas, smoking chillams with babas, talking about spirituality, these babas doing crazy things.
This Neem Karoli Baba Ashram, which is in a Kenchi Ram at Nainital. The place which is got popular because Virat Kohli went there recently. So that was a place which was popular among the local people for sure, because Neem Karoli Baba was from Nainital and Kenchi Ram. But it was still not popular. It was just recently now, because of Virat Kohli, he went there, spent time, got the pictures clicked. The place got popular overnight. And now a lot of people are flocking to those temples, to Neem Karoli Baba.
The social media grip of people wanting followers, people wanting all of this stuff without realizing like what they are losing in the process. So this losing, what they are losing is what we need to bring up into awareness without condemning their actions, but bringing awareness into, look, this is what is happening. Hey Sumit, how are you? Lovely to have you on this podcast, Raw and Unfiltered. I'm really happy to meet you online. It's not in person, but I'm really happy to meet you. We're meeting the first time, and I'm really excited to see where our conversation leads us into knowing ourselves, about the world, about yoga, which is a topic very dear to me as well. So I'm very curious to learn more about the subject from you and your insights about yoga itself. So for me personally, there's so many podcasts out there. So it was the idea of this podcast was not just to be one of the other podcasts. It was simply to share with people what I've been living for many, many, many years, and I've done it in my books, and I've shared with people on a physical level as well, which is basically authenticity and listening to the other people's point of views and their life journeys and learnings and teachings that may come from, let's say, what would be categorized as taboo subjects in India, or alternative ways of thinking, or things that we wouldn't always talk about openly. But now I feel like India is very much ready to be open to all kinds of topics, explorations of them in a much deeper way, in a much authentic way, and bring to people, young people especially, voices from across the country of individuals who are living what they're preaching, or are trying their best to practice that, are trying to live an authentic life, and are the same off screen and on screen. So that's personally I feel like is a very important pathway in our journeys, where who we are outside the screen, who we are in our bedrooms with our partners, all of those start aligning into representing who we truly are all the time, and we embrace our humanity and we embrace our trueness, and bringing that into the world of social media, which you very well know how superficial it has become. So it's kind of like a step towards bringing something more authentic to this world. So I'm really glad you can join us. Please, I would like to know more about you, and many people who would listen to this podcast would like to know more about you. Please share your journey with us. Please share your journey of yoga, of spirituality. How did you get into it? What led for it? Just go into it a bit more. Also for me, I also want to know, and then we will go from there.
First and foremost, thank you so much, Kartikeya, for having me here. I was all of a sudden I got this information that I have to be with you, and thank you so much. I'm glad I'm able to make up time for this too. Well, to start off, I've gone through your books. I've gone through your books. I've gone through your work. In some terms, I can say you are a yogi too. You have explored a life a lot, going to Amazon, seeing visited India during the COVID times. I've gone through your book also and heard. It's something very, very interesting. Well, to talk about me, I think I can correlate with you because I have a somewhat similar story. I was in the corporate world a good part of my 7 to 8 years. Started from hotel management. I did hotel management, worked as a chef at different places at Oberoi's, Rajvilas, to Sheraton, Delhi. From there, got an opportunity as a catering chef somewhere. And then somehow what happened, it's all coincidental and accidental, which leads to me to the path of spirituality. From there, I got an opportunity with a French company named Sodexo because I was learning French at some point of time, based in Chandigarh. So I was learning French. They got to know about it. They hired me, worked as a French translator for them for quite some time. And in that corporate job, I was minting good money. They were good paymasters. I was in a very happening city at that point of time, Chandigarh. Things were going really, really nice. But somehow, something was missing. Though I was minting money, was
This was
enjoying
around
life.
what time?
This was in way back in 2010.
Oh,
2010.
long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago. So
Yeah.
2010 was the time, was the turning point where got into so one friend of mine, she took me for a yoga class. So this is something very, very interesting. Now, so way back in 2010, when yoga was not that popular, in today's time, thanks to International Yoga Day, Modi ji, and so many initiatives that everybody's known about yoga, and now there are 200 odd countries which practice yoga. But at that point of time, yoga was not that popular. So there was a French teacher of mine, French national. So she was based at Chandigarh. My first initial educational French with her. We became good friends. So she took me for a yoga class. Look at how surprising it is. A
Hmm.
French lady, she took me for a yoga class to Indian guy. And it was very interesting, but I was not sure at that point in time that the yoga is for me. So I wanted a trial class specifically. I asked director of the institute that I wanted a trial class. I'm not sure. At that time, I was 28. So I was not sure that yoga is for me because yoga, we all have these stereotype that is for the slow people, it is for the people who are depressed, who are in the path of spirituality, who has given up materialism and all that, etc., etc. So
Hmm.
somehow I was not convinced. Went for my first yoga class, and I can't express to you the experience how I felt at the end of the class when we did this Om chanting. I was like, man, this is something magic. I've never experienced this deep connection with myself. I've always been to sports, gyms, this and this and this.
Hmm.
Now got into yoga class, which is like very, very slow. But even the end of it, the connection was deep. But still, as I said, I thought it could be just a fluke, maybe just a one-time thing. So I thought of let's just go in and explore a little more. I took a trial class for 1 week, which was very surprising because normally they don't give a trial class, a free class for 1 day, 2 days. So I went on to take it for 1 week. The
Hmm.
owner was very nice, was very he understood my problem, and he guaranteed me this. By the end of 1 week, and when thing was clear, I decided that this is for me, man. This is something which I was looking for. I was moving here and there. Maybe this is something where I could have that sthirta in my life, that stability which we all want.
Hmm.
And from that time onwards, with the full devotion, puri shiddat ke saath, I did a yoga for 1 year, good 1 year. I was managing my corporate, practicing yoga for a good 1 year, along with my job, my
You
corporate
you
job.
found a you found a master, or you like specific traditions you went into, or you explored with different traditions.
I did. I am coming to this too. So I was doing a yoga at one of the yoga studios based in Mohali, Chandigarh. The yoga was nice. Everything was good. But I was just once again there was a craving, there was a yearning that there's something connection I'm missing. So this is where I decided that I'm going to take off from my corporate job. So
Hmm.
after practicing in the city for a good 1 year, this is where I decided that maybe there's something more I want to know, more about myself, more about this journey. So I took off from my job, leave without pay. So went on to the first place, my first teacher training course, which was at Madurai, a beautiful city in South India. And the
Hmm.
tradition, the culture, everything was so different. Because the way the yoga I was taught at Chandigarh in the north part was very, very different from what I explored in the south. Oh, that's my son.
Oh,
Oh,
hey.
Prithvi. Say hello. Say hello to Kartika. Say
Hello.
hello.
What's his name?
Prithvik.
Prithvik?
Prithvik. Another name
Prith-
for Lord Vishnu. Prithvik.
Prithvik. Oh, lovely. You have one
So
son?
Prithvik. So because the Lord Vishnu is the one responsible for the Prithvi. He's the
Oh, okay.
operations manager. So there he gave his name as
How
well.
old is
Prithvi.
he?
3.5.
Nice. Lovely.
Okay, okay. Okay. Right. So I'm telling you from here. Uh, so that's my first teacher training course. This is where I realized that what I was learning, that I was practicing at Chandigarh, is was not real yoga. Because what happened is now our yoga in today's cities are amalgamated. It has been distracted and diluted with a lot of things by aerobics, Zumba,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So the
Everything.
purists, yeah,
Everything is
everything.
yoga now.
And of course, I could tell you because in 2010 to by 2014, I would say, still yoga was not given that importance or respect or that authenticity that nobody recognized that it's so that authentic. It's our own thing. That's all culture. So, but that place, the Shivananda yoga ashrams in Madurai, it was the yoga was taught in a so pure form. And this is where I realized that yoga asanas are not yoga. They're just part of it. They're just tip of the iceberg. Then
Yeah.
there's a karma yoga. Then there is a bhakti yoga,
Philosophy.
jnana yoga,
Yeah.
all the philosophy, Vedanta. So I learned, I practiced. It was a part of my
Like
curriculum.
you open up Pandora's box, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is where the life, for me, I think the yoga started there. This
Yeah.
is, I realized that after spending 2 months in an ashram,
Hmm.
away from the internet, away from that materialistic world, where you were given just the basic necessities,
Hmm.
you were lying down on the floor, doing karma yoga, for example, cleaning toilets. Even after giving 1 lakh rupee, doing a course, you were cleaning toilets. And I realized because my teachers, they were giving a more hard work to the people who have more ego. So the more the ego, the more a very subtle work would be given to you. Somebody would be cleaning a toilet. Somebody would be asking to throw off the monkeys from the field, to go here, there, all that. So I
Yeah.
was fortunate enough to given this opportunity to clean the temple. I
Yeah.
was given this opportunity, and that 1 month was 1 month where I was given this karma yoga of
Yeah.
of cleaning the temple. It changed me because this is where I felt that connection, and that this is where I was also. This is something very interesting. This is where I was also introduced to Bhakti Yoga.
Hmm.
I heard this chanting by Krishna Das. He's an
Yeah.
American,
Yeah.
right? So American singer, a Jewish American singer who
I
was
love
given
Krishna.
name by Neem Karoli Baba.
Yeah.
So at that time, I thought it's Amitabh Bachchan because the voice was so deep. It was
Yeah.
so deep. And Hanuman Chalisa, which is our own thing, being an Indian.
Yeah.
But this is this foreigner who was having this immaculate pronunciation. All the shlokas, chapais, everything was so immaculate. And this is where I explored more about Krishna Das, and this is where I picked up a harmonium too. So in that 2 months of time, the next 1 month I learned harmonium at that ashram, playing those chantings. So this is where I think I came back to my city because, of course, the karma. I was given a break for 2 months. I have to return back. So came back, but I came back as a very changed person. This is
Right.
where I realized maybe yoga is something more. Yoga is just not about these asanas. Yoga is about feeding people, doing that karma yoga, getting connected to the people. This is
Hmm.
where I did a job for again a good 1 year. Started teaching yoga with no intention of becoming a yoga teacher, but just doing my own practice, was doing my job. The next year, decided to go for another training. This was for a little longer time. It was for
Hmm.
4 months now.
It
So,
was what? Again?
so next year I again went for another training, advanced teacher training course because the one I did was the basic foundation course. Then
Hmm.
I decided to go for advanced teacher training
At Shivananda Ashram in
at
Madurai?
Shivananda Ashram. Once again, at the same place because I somehow fell in love with that place. The
Right.
Madurai, that city. I know that's whole city because Meenakshi temple is in the center of that city.
Yeah,
The
I was
whole
gonna
city is
ask you about Meenakshi temple actually. I
that
have,
Meenakshi.
I have so many like with your story. I'm hearing. I will let you continue, but I was want to interrupt 1 second. I have so many questions coming from this story because I have so many similarities in so many ways. Uh,
True, true. That's what I was saying, that our stories are a little similar. They
yeah,
are
yeah. Please
coinciding.
continue.
So from there, staying there for 4 months, where I learned more about Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And once again, another layer was opening up. So layer by layer, things were going out. We were saying in our own language, more like the Maya is now unfolding, Maya is coming out, and now things were getting more clear. I was getting more clarity, what I want in my life, what I want to do. So that 4 months, once again, came back, did my own karma, was given a break for just for 4 months. From there, once again, was doing my job, and something interesting really happened in the COVID times. COVID times, I lost my job overnight. I lost my job overnight.
So the job was working as a chef.
I was no, no. I think you missed the link here. Initially, it was in the hotel industry. Then became a French linguist. I became a
Right,
French
the
translator.
translation jobs. Okay,
It
so you
was
went
more of
back to
yeah,
translation and then doing yoga at the same time, right?
yeah. So the journey, the dots have been connected. It's been a long story to cut short.
Yeah.
So from a French translator, once again, I was doing my job, but overnight lost my job, had to do something out of it because recently got married. No, I came
Mm.
back to my own city in late 2017, and just got married. So there's 1 year and then lost my job overnight. I was getting a lot of work, was
Before
getting
COVID or after COVID?
during COVID time, in fact,
During COVID.
2019,
Right.
during COVID time. So overnight lost my job. Had to do something out of it. There were just two skills which I knew. One was yoga, and another one was the French language. Because the hotel industry went long, long back. It was all gone into the one corner. I was more concentrating on the French and the yoga. Yoga was more of my passion, and the French was my bread and butter. So
Mm.
from there, what I did was the day I lost my job, the next day I put two sunboards in front of my house, two big boards in my house. One was for if you want to learn French language, please contact me. If you want to learn, second board was if you want to learn yoga, please get in touch with me.
Okay.
So yoga clicked, and unfortunately, yoga clicked, and that was the turning point. And today I am become a yoga teacher, and I have three yoga studios in my city. I'm more into now corporate yogas now. So the same companies where I was doing a
So
job
this
as a
is in
French
Mohali
linguist.
or Chandigarh? Your city is Mohali.
Now I'm based in Ludhiana now
Ludhiana.
because
Okay.
now I'm based in Ludhiana. So now I'm doing a corporate yogas for the same companies where I'm working as a French language linguist. Now I'm doing a corporate yoga for them, traveling, managing my studio. So the journey has been very, very fruitful. Because one thing leads to another, one to another, and really decided that this is yoga, this is for me. And now the way I'm teaching yoga, I'm trying to keep it in a very pure form. Not the way I learned at Chandigarh, but the way I've learned at Shivananda. Because from there, Shivananda, though he's no more the name, the gurus, the Shivananda, I started as the Hatha Yoga practitioner, Hatha Yoga.
Mm. Yeah.
Practiced Hatha Yoga for good 4 or 5 years. And it's been 2 3 years that I've been doing Ashtanga. I learned from Mysore, another teacher training course at India Yoga in Mysore.
Mm.
Then from there, went to a lot of seminars, a lot of international yoga festivals. I've attended a lot of workshops from Krishna Das. Is my I'm big fan of him. Wherever he goes, I go.
Yes.
It's that kind of thing. So.
Do you
Uh,
also practice Iyengar yoga?
Iyengar yoga, yes, I do a little bit of it because we do therapy yoga batches in my
Hmm.
studios. So when
Hmm.
therapy yoga batches, that's why I do it. So, but I'm not a certified Iyengar yoga expert because that requires like 2 and 3 years of expertise working and being under a teacher. Then you could call yourself as Iyengar yoga teacher.
Hmm.
So I do a lot of stuff. I do amalgamation of khichdi of a lot of other things,
Yeah.
but keeping the platform and the essence intact of
Right.
that purity intact. For
Yeah.
example, whatever I learned from a Shivananda ashram, small, small things. Like, for example, every other yoga school, if you go, they do pranayams or the breathing exercise at the end. But in Shivananda, they practice the breathing in the beginning.
Hmm.
So I'm
Why is
following
that?
the same. Oh, why is that? Okay.
Yeah.
So it is that, is still the people are, look, a lot of people are still coming to yoga for the physical benefits.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get rid of the spondylitis, of the cervical,
Hmm.
want to learn flexibility, want to get rid of the knee pain, etc., etc. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody comes for the physical benefits only. It is just that when you practice yoga, just like me, for example, I practiced for good 1 year in one of the studios. This is where I decided I want to go deeper. But during that 1 year, it really coincides to only the physical practice. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the breathing, which leads to the path of the meditation, the dhyana, or the second next step, a lot of people tend to miss it because it's very boring. In fact, during my own classes too, whenever I come for the first day, I tell them, this Anulom Vilom is very boring, man. This is the most boring thing in the world.
Yeah.
But but if you do this correctly, the half of your problems are done. You
Great.
have migraine, not a problem. You have
Yeah.
cervical, not a problem. If you're able just to do Anulom Vilom well. So that people don't skip the Anulom Vilom or the breathing exercise, we tend to do it in the beginning
Right.
because this is my style. You have to do this. And
Mm.
then comes the physical part.
Nice. Have you met Sivananda?
Swami Shivananda is no more. So it's once again very
I thought there
interesting.
was one Swami in the Sivananda lineage who was still alive, like somebody who's 130 or something years old.
That you were confusing with someone else. It's once again you're right. This is Shivananda, but that is another Shivananda. So
Right.
here we talking about. Have you been to Rishikesh?
Yeah.
Okay. So Rishikesh, there is something called as Divine Life Society.
Okay.
Divine Life Society. So Divine Life Society, the Swami Shivananda was the first contemporary Hatha Yoga teacher, or he was the first one to start a yoga school, to give a yoga teacher training as a course, Swami Shivananda. So
Okay.
Swami Shivananda then has a few disciples. One of them was Swami Vishnu Devananda. One was Satyanand Saraswati, and then two more. So what happened was one settled in Rishikesh, one settled at Canada, Swami Vishnu Devananda. So
Mm.
he started his uh, his own chain of ashrams with the name Sivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers with his
Right.
guru name.
Mm.
Then one started the Bihar School of Yoga, Swami Satyanand
I've
Saraswati.
heard good things about Bihar School of Yoga as well.
Once again, because it's they are following the Shivananda lineage,
Mm.
so they want to connect mind and body, the
Mm.
whole connection between mind and body, the whole
Right.
essence of yoga. Because
Right.
other yoga schools somehow, because to be in that rat race, somehow I won't want to say commercialization, but somehow they have lost that touch of yoga. They are mixing everything. But
Mm.
the Shivananda lineage, they are still keeping that essence intact. They're still keeping that love of for the yoga intact. So the
Mm.
Bihar School of Yoga is purely on the Karma Yoga philosophy that you do your karma, that you serve people, rest everything follows. Because yogas, there are four parts of yoga, and Karma Yoga is the Bihar School of Yoga give a lot of emphasis on that you can reach the oneness through this path too. The
And
Swami
the
Shivananda, it's more of a
Madurai
hatha yoga.
one, okay, and the
But
Madurai one comes from which lineage?
once again, as I told you, so Swami Shivananda has two disciples. One
Mm.
is Vishnu Devananda. Vishnu Devananda started the chain of ashrams with his guru's name. The first one was at Canada. Then it 93 it came to India. So Swami
Ah,
Shivananda lineage, but Vishnu Devananda was the one who initiated.
so this is the one in the Madurai where you learned
Yeah,
first.
they have different ashrams and centers across the world. And in fact, if you want to say that a chain of schools, perhaps they are the only one with a very systematic chain of yoga schools.
Mm.
They have ashram in London, they have at New York, they have at every different place. And the beautiful thing about is the same sequence or the same philosophy or the same method or the same methodology is followed everywhere.
Mm. So
For
very.
example, yeah, so it's very systematic and a very SOP driven thing. If you take whether you take a class in Delhi or whether you take a class in London, it's same. It's
Mm.
all scripted.
Right. Lovely. Lovely. So how was Meenakshi temple? This I'm asking this because there's a funny story around it. For 2 years, I've had a goddess with me uh, in my room and then altar, like very close to me. I got it from an artifact store. I just saw her and I could like she called me basically. So she's been with me 2 years, and only
Mhm.
recently my wife and I were my wife became curious. She's like, which goddess is this? And I'm like, I actually don't know the name. I just know it's the Shakti. It's with me, and I connect with her. I never became curious to know her name because I just felt her energy so strongly. And we start researching, and it's Minakshi, the Parvati, like the
Parvati,
Parvati's
another avatar.
avatar.
Yes.
And for me, my name is Kartikeya, so it makes sense that
Yes.
Meenakshi,
So
right?
the
And
sun. Yeah.
we find out that the only temple is in Madurai.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
the only
beautiful.
temple is in Madurai, and they love me in Tamil Nadu, and they like it's such a I have such a crazy connection with Tamil Nadu. Something always is happening to me in Tamil Nadu. So this is something that really it happened just day before yesterday or something like this. So have you been to that temple?
Yes, I've been blessed enough to be at the temple twice because I did two teacher training courses at Madurai. So during our off days, they used to take us to the temple and then to the Dhanushkoti, to that Setu, the one which Hanumanji built to go to Lanka. So yes,
So
I've been.
there's a Hanuman temple there as well.
No, that's not the Hanuman temple, but you know the story that
No, I don't
where
know
the
the
one
story.
where the Vanasena made a setu for
Yeah,
Sri Ram to go to Lanka.
yeah, that bridge.
That bridge, so that's setu.
Yeah,
It's called so is they also call it as Hanuman Setu to give it.
where is
So
that? It's in Madurai.
not in Madurai, it's near to Dhanushkoti to Rameshwaram.
Okay, okay. But what's
From
the
Ra-
connection with this temple?
because what I want to say is because during our off days they used to take us to the different temples.
Ah,
So
okay.
during the one of the days we went there. The Meenakshi temple has to be the very first thing they took us. And but there were just once again there were a few strange stories too associated with that temple. For a few customs which I don't approve of. For example, the foreigners were not allowed to enter in that temple.
They are very much like that in Tamil Nadu with foreigners. Very strict.
So
They're very
because
strict.
and you know the Shivananda Yoga Center, it's very
Yeah,
strange. If you go through there, all the ashrams and cities, it's always the foreigners who comes more to that ashram than the Indians.
yeah,
For example, my batch were consisted of 40 odd people.
yeah,
Out of them, 30 were from different parts of the world.
yeah,
You talk about any country you think of, you talk about Japan, China,
yeah.
to US, to the South America, Peru, every damn country you can think of, but they were less of Indians. I was more of fortunate Indians who were there, and that too, that from North India, the Punjabi.
Yeah.
So, you know,
They're like,
so,
you guys are very loud. What are you doing here learning yoga?
absolutely, because they cannot relate us with yoga. So
Yeah,
to that temple, we all went as a group, and we as an Indians were allowed to enter, but they were not allowed to enter. So I
yeah.
found it very strange, and I didn't enter also in the first group when I was with my group
Yeah,
because they
this
had
happens.
the
This is it's pretty normalized actually. My wife is foreigner, so we experience this quite often, unfortunately. But it's in Tamil Nadu. This is very normal. They are very like,
I know this is normal, but this is where I want to say that there are a few social things which need to change with the time.
yeah,
So this
totally.
is one of the other the darker side of these South Indian cities or states which should change with the time because
It's like completely opposite to the essence of a temple and God.
hmm,
It's like God is
true.
for everybody.
Because as I told you, in a Shivananda, their maximum foreigners comes. See, the foreigners who want to learn about yoga, want to practice yoga more.
Yeah.
It is now after 2014, 2015, especially after the COVID, now that
Yeah, I think
Indians are entering into the scene.
COVID was the main point in my opinion because before like that time as well, I also was in this world, but like I remember I would go to a lot of meditation courses, and this is something I realized very recently. I was doing a lot of meditation courses, and at that time I was much younger than what I am now as well. And as you were saying, in the group, it would be mostly foreigners, and if they were Indians, they would be older Indians. Some of
Hmm,
them, few.
true.
Now I recently, this April, I went to a meditation course in the mountains itself in near Dharamsala, and it was out of the 50 people, it was 50-50 divide. Like they were foreigners, but it was completely divided, and the Indians were mostly young Indians, like early 20s, first time meditation, first time this, and there's a big I personally feel there's a big shift, maybe out of desperation, because people really are going crazy, because of anxiety and so much technological imprints around us, that people kind of need help, and they're looking for whatever they can find, in spirituality, and yoga and meditation is one of those things. And a lot of young people in India are now realizing, like, wow, India has so much to offer in that sense. Coming back to Meenakshi temple, how was your experience there, like the connection with the temple and the goddess?
Uh, as I told you, that the temple was divine. I mean, it is the city is built around that temple.
Oh
It is
really,
more
it's
like,
like
yeah,
really big
yeah,
temple, huh?
yeah.
Okay.
It's such a big temple. There are different gates to enter, and whole surrounding of that temple is all about flowers. It's all about the essence, so incense sticks. It's such a beautiful all the environment,
Hmm.
and the moment you enter that temple, so it has little dark in nature because it's of course it's Parvati and then Shiva, the connection. So it is the lighting and everything is a little on the darker side, and it's an old temple. But moving through all those gates, moving through all those walls, it is good experience. And in the middle of the temple, then there is one pond. So the experience was good. At the end of it, and we had a guide who guided us through entire history. At the end of it, then you have the Kartikeya, then you have Nandi, and those tradition of ours where you try to whisper in the Nandi's ears
Yeah.
your wish, your desires, or whatever you want in your life. You will talk about this. So whole experience is spirituality. This touch is really missing in North India, and South still has it.
Yeah, totally. South is, in that sense, South is, they've done a great job. I was recently, like few months ago, I was in Tiruvannamalai. You know
Mm.
Tiruvana? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was in Ramana Ashram, and I
Ramana
visited.
Maharishi Ashram. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been to that place?
Not really, but a lot of my once again my foreigners group they used to go there because to go to that Arunachala.
Yeah, you must go. You will love it. I think I'm sensing the.
I know the energy of that place. I've heard a
It's
lot.
really, really special place. But
True,
they
true.
also have this sacred temple there, and it's incredible. They also don't allow foreigners in there,
Hmm.
but the priests and all, very, very incredible energy. They really preserve it. They really preserve the essence in South India, especially in Tamil Nadu in that sense. And they're like the experience of dealing with priests in South India and North India. I cannot even compare.
True. But, Kartika, coming back to the point when we were discussing before the Meenakshi temple, where there are a lot of youngsters who are coming to this path now. There's this shift which has happened because a lot of corporate jobs, and of course, being in the corporate world, I could relate where after a while they want that break, they want to come out of the shackles, out of all those four walls, being an explorer, and India has a lot to offer. People are realizing. But there is one no, I would say negative, but there's one part of it which is our thing is suffering. What is happening is because there's a lot of influencers who have come now. It's also because it's trending. So a lot of
Hmm.
youngsters are coming to because YouTube, once again, Instagram, they have a lot of followers. They want to show. So a lot of
Hmm.
influencers coming to this field,
Hmm.
maybe because they need it. It is just because it has become their profession,
Yeah.
so they are exploring and want to show to the people. So what has happened is the energy of few places which I feel and I've heard a lot of stories from the sadhus now that they are getting disturbed. The energy of people are disturbed. For example, you've been to after Rishikesh, if you go up to Netala, Netala is more of a Gangotri part. So because
Hmm.
Rishikesh, I would say, is more of a commercialized place. There
Rishikesh
are
is
people.
done. Rishikesh has clubs now.
Now, it
Rishikesh
has
is becoming a
clubs.
techno place now.
It is a favorite weekend getaway for people, a lot of Delhi people who have done a lot of
Yeah.
investments. But if you go above Rishikesh to the Natala, to the Gangotri part, where there are a lot of ashrams who are still untouched. There are places where you can learn Sanskrit. There are places where you can learn Indian languages. There are places where you can stay in ashram, do karma yoga, it's all sort of things. There are a lot of Vedanta courses which are happening in Natala. So what has happened is now, because those places which were not popular earlier, it was very difficult to go there, but it was very hard journey, but the destination is beautiful when you reach that place. But now, because the influencers now have come, so the energy of a lot of places, because there were less people, and the people who really want to, who were seeking something, they were reaching that place. But now everybody's reaching
Hmm.
because of the advancement of technology, of the better means of transport. Now everybody has reached,
Hmm.
not for the sake that they want to learn, maybe they just want to explore, who are curious, not
Hmm.
from that side that they're curious about yoga or the meditation or the spirituality, but just as a place to show to the people, to upload the Instagram story, to upload it on the YouTube so that they get more followers.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the energy is getting disturbed too. For example, one of my friends recently, he was telling me that he went to this Neem Karoli Baba ashram, which is in a Kenchi Ram at Nainital,
yeah,
the place which is got popular because Virat Kohli went there
yeah,
recently,
yeah, yeah,
right? So that was a place which was popular among the local people for sure, because Neem Karoli Baba was from Nainital and Kenji Ram.
yeah.
A
Hmm.
lot of foreigners used to come, right from the Steve Jobs to the Julia
Yeah,
Roberts, from
yeah.
that era, from Krishna Das once again, Ram Das, but it was still not popular. It was just recently now because of Virat Kohli. He went there, spent time, got the pictures clicked. The place got popular overnight, and now a lot of people are flocking to those temples, to Neem Karoli Baba. And now,
Hmm.
so my friend, his experiences says that. So he went there recently. He says, I don't know, I feel that, didn't feel the same connection. The energy was very different when I was there earlier. Now,
Hmm.
because everybody is going not with the same intention, not with the same intention. So our energies are disturbed. So you see the other part of it, a lot of youngsters coming to the spirituality who are into this space, our places are getting disturbed also. Once again, the Dharamshala.
I mean, I've seen this in front of my eyes, because I've been traveling around India for 10 years and almost 10 years. And when I started, as you were saying, around the time you were doing these things, it was very different. And like people looked at me very weird when I was in this stream at the beginning. They were like, "He's becoming sannyasi, he's
Yeah,
lost, all
yeah,
that."
yeah.
And then COVID definitely was the big breakthrough time with all of this, and it opened up Pandora's box. And the good side is that people are seeking more, people are awakening, collective shifts are happening, amazing things. But I personally feel along the lines what you're saying is they are missing out on the responsibility part around it.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, yes, it's a place everybody has access to. We can all go to. We're all there. But why are we going there? So that we can maintain the sanctity of this place, and others who will come in the future can also receive the blessings.
Absolutely. Because it
Not
is not a party place. It is not a weekend
yeah, yeah.
getaway.
There
It is
is
a place for some very serious people. The
Yeah,
who are
there's
serious.
definitely that challenge there, and like for example, like during COVID, I was stuck in Rishikesh for most of the time, and it was amazing.
Hmm.
So it was amazing because it was empty, and
Yeah.
it felt like what Rishikesh used to be like 1,000 years ago: empty, Ganga, clean, everything, no music, just animals coming back to the Ganga, leopards, tigers out into the open. So it felt very, very good just being there.
True, 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 true.
Like that silence, that what practitioners are looking for. Whoever wants to do serious
Absolutely.
sadhana, they're looking for silence and that space and that energy to have that space. And I feel personally like with so much commercialization happening of yoga world, which it cannot be avoided. It has to
Yeah, yeah.
happen this way. It is. It's a Pandora's box. It's a gem for
I, I
everybody to
I
experience.
truly agree that it is good that a lot of people are coming to yoga. They're getting connected. This is all good, all happening for the good.
But
But
how do we tackle this challenge? Because I personally also feel this is a big challenge, especially in India, because once the masses get into something, we have a lot of masses.
yeah,
So then it's like it gets over flooded, and you cannot be like, oh, we have to restrict access, because we cannot. You cannot
we cannot
restrict
restrict access.
access for
That's right.
some and make it open for some. It is open for everybody, but we have to somehow, I don't know, have this discussion first of all in the open with the masses, to be like, guys, like, we're all in this together, yes, but we need to, like, respect the sanctity of all of this. This is all
Absolutely,
social media.
we need to
This
create
is
that
why
awareness.
these
Absolutely, we need to create that.
conversations need to really come on social media, because I feel like the social media grip of people wanting followers, people wanting all of this stuff without realizing, like, what they are losing in the process.
True,
So
true,
this
true.
losing, what they're losing, is what we need to bring up into awareness, without condemning their actions, but bringing awareness into, look, this is what is happening. We can choose to either support this, or just bring awareness to discuss about this and be like, we need to protect this. We are, it's our responsibility. Nobody
Absolutely,
else is doing
absolutely.
it.
We need
Like,
to be conscious, and this is for sure too, Kartikeya. So if you stick to yoga for a longer time, not just for a month or so, you're feeling good about your body and you leave yoga, go to gym, and then coming back. So if this is going to happen for sure, that you stick to yoga for a longer time, that this awareness of being responsible citizen, of being responsible spiritually to this would come, and people would take that action for sure. Because, for example, a country like let's say Bhutan, that country is so beautiful that they're so respected of their nature of the nature. 80% of the Bhutan is still in the forest and that green cover, and the people respect that. It is not that the government is enforcing anything.
yeah,
They
yeah.
understand that it is very important for the future generations or their spirituality, so they are keeping it that. For example, I know to know about that our country, that they still order non-vegetarian food from India, so they don't kill their own animals. They still keep them alive, keep them intact. They respect the animals. So these are a few conscious things which comes from the own. You don't, you can't really condemn people, as you say. But that awareness would come if they stick for a longer time. So just to add on, for example, what we were discussing. Recently I was following one blogger, so a spiritual blogger again, a very young guy, a techie guy. So he was telling about today I'll talk about Gupt Navratri. I was like, what?
What? Say again.
Gupt Navratri.
Okay.
Today, you know what? We learn about Gupt Navratri. So at that point of time, I was thinking in my head, man, today you're gonna disclose it. How come this is gonna remain as Gupt Navratri? This is something so close to India. Everybody should not be aware about this. And you're making it open, Gupt Navratri, because the Gupt word means it's secret Navratri.
Mm-hmm. Good. You're right.
Yeah. So these are the things which are happening with the youngsters, and a lot of influencers coming to the spirituality. But we have to
But
accept
okay,
this
so
too.
what do you think is happening internally to all these people? Because you are on the forefront of dealing with corporates, and they are your clients. You're working with these people who are working 18 hours on computers, who are completely born in a different generation from us. They're born in a very digital generation. They're born with technology. They're born with consumption. They're born with all the desires and everything available on one click. We didn't
Hmm.
have that stuff.
True,
So
true.
how are they like I really want to understand, what is it like dealing with them, and what is it like, what's going on there?
Well, it is for sure. There's a flooding of knowledge from every direction here and there, and the assimilation of that knowledge is very tough, because what is happening is they because of this, a lot of my clients, I totally understand they're distracted. They don't have that focus and concentration. They are thinking so many different things is at one go about their job, about life, about this and this. So with this so much knowledge, or this so much of everything available on the internet, on the just click of the button, there are a lot of
Hmm.
problems were there. It's coming. A lot of mental problems were they're facing. Because they're not focused. There's so much in their head always. There
Hmm.
are waves of thoughts going around, and they're not able to cut down to fewer thoughts. Of course, everybody gonna have a thoughts as a human. That's fine. But
Hmm.
the waves or the bundle of thoughts which are coming in, this is where I try to make them aware, and they also understand this. That being in yoga, why it is a need of the hour now, why a whole world is going gaga over yoga is for the same reason, because they are distracted. There's
Hmm.
no clarity. They don't know what's happening. And once they so my example for example, okay, not from the same generation, but somehow on the same track, that I was also, here and there everywhere where I realized that yoga is the one for me, is that oneness for me. And thing is, it is available within us. We still have a lot of genuine yoga masters in our country.
Yeah,
There are a lot of commercialization which has
a
happened.
lot of
I
them
understand.
are in hiding now. They've all gone in hiding.
They all gone in hiding. I totally. So, for
Masters.
example, yeah, absolutely. They have gone to, for example, this. There are places once again above Rishikesh and Himalayas, where now though people are everywhere, but there are a lot of people who are they're hiding now. They come down just in Nagori Babas, for example.
Hmm.
During these Kumbh Melas, they only just come out. They are beautiful spiritual people, and talk to them. If you sit with them, they tell about their stories, about their experiences. So, coming to the point, so there are a lot of distraction, but yoga gonna work. Yoga, it's gonna work, and I feel, because I come from the same line, I try to make them understand that why this yoga is need of the hour and why sticking to the yoga is important. Because initially it might be boring for me. I told you, the first thing when anybody comes from my class, I tell them, I'm going to teach you something very boring in this world.
Hmm.
Left, right, left, right, left, right. But this is where the whole world lies. Because if you're able to control the breath, which is connected to your mind, the problems are solved.
Hmm.
Now distractions are gone, clarity is there, and you're going to feel something which you have never experienced, that a firmness with life. So this is where the yoga needs to happen. Now, Kartikeya, now it's a lot about me, but what about you? You can share your experiences too, roaming around the world to Amazon to
Honestly,
different
I'm
places.
listening to you, and so much is getting reflected because I feel at some points I feel sad for younger generations because they will never get to experience the kind of India I got to experience, which was of so much mysticism, of going into mountains, living in
True.
jungles, meeting babas, smoking chillams with babas,
Hmm.
talking about spirituality, these babas doing crazy things,
Hmm.
and having crazy understanding and realizations of life. And I am exploring the subject in the new book I'm writing, sharing this side of India, where there's so many, there still are many like hidden places. But
Hmm.
recently,
True.
also, my wife and I went to Ladakh, and it was the same story. It's everywhere commercialization. We had to
True.
go really far away in some villages, and then we found remote places, and then we got lost, which was an amazing experience. But I feel, I feel really that a lot of younger generation today, like they don't have that opportunity anymore to experience that rawness, that wilderness,
Hmm.
the that
Absolutely. Absolutely.
experience of being a human in this mystical land and meeting humans who like live in caves and with snakes around them, and all these kind of experiences that are very real.
But the only opportunity they have is they can still go to South India and still get little touch of it. Maybe not the whole thing, not
South
the
is still
complete thing.
pretty, yeah, South is still
South is
pretty
still.
relevant.
Because, for
um,
example, the Shivananda ashrams, I've been to Madurai, then they have been to other ashrams like Naiya Dam, which is in Trivandrum, a 1 hour away from the city. And once again, a beautiful place. There's a lake next to the ashram. A lot of people. So there's still a lot of places where, for example, Mount Abu, or going to Lonavala, which is this place called Kevalle. So there are
mm,
few places. There's still few places where they are teaching yoga in the right manner.
Hmm.
not getting too phased by the distraction or the commercialization.
How
Uh,
do you balance this all that you are sharing with social media world? Because I personally, I just don't go on social media much. Like I'm pretty off it. I handed it over to somebody else, and they've been managing it for a very long time because I couldn't do it. I was struggling being on social media. I was struggling being interactive on social media. I was just struggling with the digital world, like period. Like being in the digital world was making me feel personally like I don't connect with it. I was feeling not social in the social media world because I felt personally that, and the reason I started this podcast, where I felt personally that it just was so superficial. Everything was just like an image, and I wanted to know people on a real level, which is how I've always lived my life. And this is something I started really struggling with, especially with younger people. And for me personally, a lot of people would message me, younger people, like with all kinds of help and desperation, which I have a lot of empathy for. But I feel a bit sad by social media. Like, I don't know, like there's something in me. I feel something not going right in social media. I don't know. How do you balance it? Like, how do you work with it?
uh, Look, I mean, initial years, I would say maybe 3 to 4 years back, or when I started my own business way back in 2019, where during COVID times when I opened the studio. At that time, I was like very, very active on social media. When I say very active on social media, and of course, being a one-man army, managing everything on my own,
Yeah,
right from the marketing to the
yeah,
induction or to the everything stuff, and then the social media. And I was, because being from the corporate world, I understood the importance that jo dikta hai wo bikta hai. So
yeah,
want to capture everything what has happened, my own practice, because my practice was very intense, very deep at that point of time. I was doing
mm,
all kind of crazy stuff you can think of, the leg back, leg here, there. So was capturing those, promoting myself, promoting my members, the testimonials, everything. It was just that. So as I said, it was out of desperation because
mm,
overnight lost my job. Though
yeah,
I know that this was not the thing which I wanted in my life. I never wanted to become a teacher or want to enter the world of spirituality as my bread and butter.
yeah,
But the circumstances, or I would say the yoga, chose me to be here.
yeah, yeah,
And but I also realized we have certain responsibilities and karmas. Just recently got married, doing this out of desperation. So I was very, very active on social media for 3, 4 years. But
mm,
just during past 2, 3 years, when I've kind of reached a certain level where I realize that now I have that capacity that I can hire people to look
mm,
after my stuff, so that I don't need to be present and I don't need to capture, I don't need to post.
mm,
So, and you would not believe then of course, because me hiring expert, this is happening. And also because now I'm not thinking on these lines of social media. Initially was desperate. And this happened with the life, no? So when you are not very casual about it, when you're not really obsessed with it, things have worked. And now it is kind of balanced because I understood that social media, being on social media is important for sure. It's very, very important.
yeah,
Now we're doing
yeah,
this podcast, this conversation, it's going to be on social media. So we can reach certain people and create awareness is
exactly.
important,
Yeah,
but not being too overwhelmed by the whole thing is also we need to create that balance
yeah.
and not
Because I
so.
find personally that I agree with you. Like this similar way, I also got into it. Kind of like I have to do this. I have no other choice. This is a way to reach people, connect, and I enjoyed it as well. Like it was lovely connecting with people, creating a following community, whatever. But I personally felt like I was never doing it from a place of um, like trying to get validation out of this following, like I need all this following to feel good about myself and all of this stuff. And I feel personally that I don't know, because of younger generation more into this there's just so much around, like social pressure around social media. I find that people feel like their whole life worth is based around how many followers they have or how much is this thing they have. That's why goes back to our conversation before. That's why people are traveling to spiritual sites to take photo to show more about that than like their own connection. So I
True.
find it a bit concerning. I feel it's a bit concerning. I feel it's a bit like deception. You know, it's like this self deception constantly, where millions of people are in self deception, and they're all agreeing to it, and they're all playing that game. I don't know why, for more validation, followers,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. They need to draw a line. For example, this is the same. This is the way I'm been managing my things. I have drawn a line that this needs to be done, sure, but not everything needs to be done, and not to be there constantly over it. Just keep it. Draw a line. This much is required. It's fine. Making being a profession, because now businesses run on social media.
yeah, yeah,
People,
totally.
but draw a line. This is done. That's it. Don't keep scrolling over the phone over and over. Don't keep posting over and over. Don't keep checking the comments over and over. One thing is done, that's done. Keep a timer. But am recently reading a book on the same thing, where they say that how social media needs to be managed. So it's a very interesting thing. He said the social media. First thing you need to understand that one thing. You need to have your photo. So whatever your photo is, you do social media on that. Don't try to keep posting and be versatile. don't
Right.
be a, don't be a versatile. So for example, if you think this is the way you can reach people, and this is the genre you like, the podcast,
Hmm.
stick to the podcast. Then don't just put every damn thing on the social media, where you're eating, what you're eating, where you're
Yeah,
sleeping, etc., etc. So do
yeah,
whatever your forte is, with your business is concerned, but then leave the rest of it, so that you're not totally into it, and don't get overwhelmed and don't distracted. So maybe this is the way to deal.
yeah. I mean, I am with you. I think I'm primarily doing this conversation for younger people, because I feel like we've kind of figured it out with social media. We went through our challenges, but we figured it out, and I feel younger people are really like taken aback by this social media world, because the worth around self worth around followers and all this is so important, that instead of staying true to who they are and what they need to do, and just doing that religiously over time with balance, they just will do anything to get following. It's like, oh, I'll post this today because it's getting me following. I'll post this today because this is getting me following. Oh, this. So it's just madness. Like, what it does to our mind is not healthy. It's not good
But
for the mind
but
at
Kartikeya,
all.
this is happening more in India as compared to other countries, because
Okay.
internet is so damn cheap here. It's like peanuts here in India as compared to other countries, where the data costs something. So it is still in restricted manner, restricted phase. But here it is like Geo, Airtel, there's a price war, so it is available so damn cheap, especially post COVID era. So maybe we could also say that it is bound to happen, because the industrialization or the big corporate words want it this way, because it is
Hmm.
downsizing, it is becoming so cheap, it is available so easily. Even any person who is in a domestic health can afford 2 GB data. So of course, when he has 2 GB data for one day, he keeps scrolling over. In such a small amount, he has 2 GB data. He can post, he can see, and he'll be on the phone entire day, and the day gone.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
it's
don't
also
know, man.
about.
It's a crazy world, because it does bring me. It makes me feel a bit worried about things. I don't know why.
Absolutely, we don't know what is going to happen now in
Yeah,
future, because
because like
uh,
I
this is
always
gonna
see.
get worse. This is
Huh?
gonna get worse. It is
This
not
is
gonna
what
be the same.
everybody keeps telling me. That's what it increases my worry, because I try to be like, okay, everything has a positive side. We're using social media for positive, and there are more people like us. We're using it. We're trying to bring awareness, and then people come back to me like, this is gonna get worse, and I'm like,
because
no.
because creating look we this is where we both have to be responsible. That, for example, through this medium of podcast, we're reaching to the right people, that set of people, to the masses, to make them understand, to the one we reach, and if we're able to create impact, and the one who take those practical implications, that's fine. but the ones who don't, we don't reach. So, and the population explosion is as such. So it is bound to get worse and worse. And the way the things are moving, once again, as I said, the youngsters are going into this field now. As I say, the next 5 years going to be the influencers economy. So that means more influencers going to get into this, more people would be into this. So it doesn't seem right, but at the same time, as the history says,
You don't
whatever
think it
goes to the
will
peak, it
plateau at
comes
some
down.
point, or you don't think it will plateau at some point? People will just lose
It
interest
will,
in
it will. That's
social
what I say.
media,
No,
and they'll
the
be like,
history
they don't care
says
about it anymore.
maybe. The prediction is maybe for the next 5 years or so, it's going to get to the peak. It's still going to get to the peak, and then it's going to plummet. So this is how the history tells us. It's going to happen for sure, but then it's also going to get settled down at one level for sure. And hopefully, so that happens soon. It should not go more longer time, but it'll happen. It'll happen, as I say. Everything has a time, but the next 5 years is going to be influences economy for sure. So whatever awareness we can create to try to restrict or control will be good, but whatever going to happen.
I don't think any of it is in our control.
It's not in our control. As I say, the only thing we have control is our mind, which
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
control it by through yoga and meditation. So once again, coming back to the roots, all the solution to the everything lies in our own culture, in our own traditional, our own conventional wisdom, not to the
I
outside
agree,
world.
man. I totally feel that I never realized the importance of spirituality like as I have in today's time, because the way things are going, materialistically speaking, maintaining your peace of mind and for
Hmm.
an elongated period of time is gonna be the biggest asset you can have, because
True,
it is really a challenging thing to do in today's time. It is
true,
not
true.
easy,
It
even
is
with people
not
who
normal.
are like the such meditators and all that. I mean, the whole ecosystem is as such that it doesn't want you to have your peace of mind, you know.
True,
So
true. And the ones who are
so
able to, they go long way. They sail through that very, very
yeah.
easily.
Yeah, but I feel really really compassionate for the world today. I really feel, in many ways, it's much better. Life is much better in so many materialistic ways. Yes, but like spiritually, I feel there's a big void in
Hmm.
India, outside India, everywhere. I think people are super lost and disconnected from the source. I really feel this,
Hmm.
and it makes me feel
It is,
sad
it is, it
because
is.
I feel it's not that hard to connect with the source. It's all inside us, but they're so
It's all
lost
inside.
and they're trying to find everything outside constantly, which is fine. It's part of the process, but the effort of trying to go inside, connecting to the source of love, is it's that effort is really missing, because they think they can just find that in one click, like press
But
a button and
that's,
find the source.
yeah.
But it
But
doesn't work like that.
this is where my guru said, he said something very, very, my last day of my course, he says, so if you get a mentor for life, and if you think that he or she is your mentor, spiritually, a family matters, or anything for matter, so it is very difficult in today's time to get that mentor who can genuinely guide you. Because all these things, because the mentor is the one who has gone through everything, who has experienced everything, who has that wisdom that he can guide you. So if you find that someone in your life, stick to it and follow. Because today times that is also a problem that we don't trust people that much. First thing
Yeah,
is we are not sure who is genuine. Second is
yeah. And it's
then we
a
don't
serious
trust.
concern anyway in the spiritual world, because there are many not genuine people. So it is a serious
Absolutely,
challenge,
absolutely.
and it's yeah, it's I don't know. So you're in this world. I find spiritual world very messy now. It's become so. It's like become full lila. It's
It
become
is.
so
It is.
messy. So many things are happening. So many things are happening at the same time. Everybody's trying everything. It's just like you're not gonna become enlightened like this. It's like let go of this chase of enlightenment. Just try to find peace and live a simple life. Like the basics. Like I feel
The
like people
basics.
to come back to the basics, and then just the madness of
True,
social
true,
media and
true.
all of this. It's too much, man. It's too many
Absolutely. Other day I was discussing with my wife that earlier we never had those so many occupational hazards or the lifestyle diseases which we have it now.
yeah,
Why my profile got picked up or got very popular recently is because I'm giving all that yogic wisdom, that hacks to get rid of this, to get rid of this, to get rid of this. First thing is that people have a lot of problems, and
exactly.
second thing is I'm giving them what is our traditional way. I'm not giving them a pill to get rid of everything. I'm giving them the traditional way, and people are so. It also goes to show that we never had these problems, and if we when we had those problems, we had solutions which were very authentic and more connected to our roots. So this thing which needs to happen over time, that if we come back more close to our roots, a simple way of living, less materialistic, not going after things, and if we're able to, we feel that contentment inside
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not going out too much in open. Not saying that you should not be aspirant, that you should not be motivated, that you should not be earning money aside. No, no, no. It is just that feeling, that contentment at the same time, that fine line, sticking to our basics, having a simple living, so that because if we have more desires, as Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the more desires leads to more suffering. If you
yeah.
like a chocolate, one chocolate is fine. That's fine. It's good for your heart. But if you have a 20 chocolates here, it's not good for your heart. It's going to be something you leads to obesity and so many things. So
Yeah, because
more
we're
pleasure leads
so
to
obsessed
suffering.
with consumption. We're like consumption or one-click solution. Something is not working. Oh, this relationship is not working. Let's go on Tinder, find right another person in 1 hour.
True,
It's like
true, true, true.
there is
Everything is click of
no.
the button. You have a Tinder, you have other apps. Find someone, go out,
It's
hang out.
it's like you're not feeling good. Okay, find this and you'll feel better. It's just crazy. Like we are not being prepared to become first aware of our feelings, to understand our feelings, to communicate our feelings, to like all of these things are just not happening. Like for example, this conversation we're having now. If we have this conversation with young people sitting next to us, I'm not saying all of them, but many of them, like younger generation, they wouldn't know what we're talking about. Like they'll
True.
be like, these guys are fucking stoners out of this world, talking about things we don't understand, which is probably true. Like I've nothing against them. They really don't understand it because
It's phases of life, Kartik. Everything happens in the phases. This is for sure. If you have reached somewhere, I have reached somewhere, we've gone through somewhere. So we were in their shoes earlier. Now things have changed. So it's going to happen for them too. And this is what I'm saying, that if it's very, very important to find a mentor. If you're able to find it early in your life, early years, a lot of that mess which is happening inside and outside will be sorted out.
So I have a
So,
question. So many people, I feel like, struggle finding a mentor these days, especially people like, let's say, young people. And because there's so many mentors, let's say, out there who may not be real mentors, authentic mentors. So what advice would you give to people to kind of navigate through those situations, like to find, like finding a mentor, yes, but how do they find a mentor? If they find somebody, how do they ensure where they can put their faith in somebody at the same time feel safe as well? How do you find that balance for people looking, seeking for help, seeking for guidance?
uh, this once again, I'm telling you stories from my own experience in my ashram. So once again, my guru, my Shivananda was not guru. So every teacher used to call them as a guru, the one who was giving a message from the masters. We call them a guru. Though my Swami Shivananda, Swami Vishnudevananda, they left their bodies long, long back. But whatever teachings were coming from them to their disciples who have become our teachers, so they give us something very, very important. They say, our neurons work in such a manner that, as we say, it's very natural that the vibes connect and vibes disconnect. With some people, you feel those vibes. And so my teacher says, if something clicked and if you feel that the vibes are matching, but don't be sure that they are matching now, allow it for two or three times to happen. You
Mm-hmm.
have a first meeting, you got impressed by someone, wow, spectacular, whatever he talked was very influential. I really like that guy, he or she, something, etc., etc. But don't be judgmental in the very first time or the very first interaction. Allow this to happen over the time. If you have that time, that be interacting or be in that company of someone over a period of time, two, three times. But because he says, if this is happening regularly or repeatedly and chronically, then this is right. And if that happens, then stick to it. Because
Mm-hmm.
your heart and your mind cannot give you that delusion every time. It can happen once, it can happen twice, but three, four, five times, if this happens, click to it, stick to it, and then put that trust in that person too. Because finding a mentor, as we were speaking, is very, very difficult in today's time. And if you feel this is happening, this is genuine, then put that trust. This happened to me. I put that trust, and this is where I am today now. Keep following my Swamiji's advice. I keep following those teachers, and this is the way maybe the younger generation can go about it. Feel
And
that
what is
vibes.
it? What is it that, let's say, helped you put that trust? Like, what could you share for younger people that would allow them to have some trust? Because, as you said, there's a lot of distrust in society now. There's a lot of paranoia. People are really afraid of going out into the world. So, how to break out of it?
Karthik had once came. It's my teacher was teaching. He said that the yogi always gives, and yogi can never ask anything from the return. This is for sure. This is the first indication, a first signal. A yogi would never ask anything in return. Yogi always gonna give. You meet for the first time, whether it could be teaching or whether it could be something, a piece of a paper. Yogi would always be giving you to you, and never would be asking anything from you in return. All he would return would be asking is that surrender, the trust. Nothing materialistic, nothing favors, nothing. So first, second, if you feel that you always been receiving from that same person, maybe this is where you can say is you can segregate that this is happening and this way you should put trust in that person because you're receiving, whether it's a teaching, whether it's a love, it's compassion, that a
Mm,
firmness, that fullness, then put that trust. He or she is not asking anything for the return. Never be asking anything for return and would never be accepting anything in return.
mm.
This is for sure.
Yeah, I was saying when you were saying this part, it really brought me back to Punjab because it reminded me of Guru Gobind and the Sikhism. The spirit of Sikhism. It's so much about giving and gurudwaras and service and that karma of truly serving humanity unconditionally. So that is beautiful. Thank you so much for these beautiful words, man. Really
No, no,
appreciate you sharing
thank you
your
so
wisdom.
much. It's been a
You,
pleasure. So, any plans of you coming to North India, to my city, to Amritsar? Any
I
plans? Because
would
you've been roaming.
definitely let you know. I would love to meet you in person. I've never been to Amritsar, not as an adult, so I would love to visit there, the Golden Temple. Yeah, I mean, I have a dear place of Punjab in my heart because primarily of Sikhism, to be honest, because I love it. I love so many aspects of Sikhism, and like I'm the kind of person who tries to learn whatever from everything he
Hmm.
can get from. So I've really loved the teachings of Sikhism and in action. You see it. So many Sikh people just living full power. I love it. Um,
True.
so I would love to meet you when I'm in Punjab. We will definitely stay in touch. And yeah, it was lovely connecting with you. I could really connect with many things you said about yoga, about this spiritual industry. And I'm so glad to hear that you're bringing so much authenticity into it and you're bringing so much dharma, karma, and seva into it, and finding the balance between the material and spiritual and with your
No,
family life, everything. It's not
this
easy,
is
man. I totally
it is not.
validate.
It is not because but as Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if you take care of Swadharma, Swadharma will take care of you. So what is right, you need to do it. then rest they're going to take care of you. So I'm trying with my teachings from my masters, whatever I've received, I'm trying to share with maximum people whatever I've received, so that whatever the way I got the clarity, the way I got things sorted on in my head, if a lot of people get, and that too if they get it early, and that's the
Yeah,
challenge. If they get it early in their lives, so a lot of precious time that could be saved,
yeah.
and that could
And
be
that's
they
why
could be
we're
taken.
doing this podcast. We're sharing things we learn a bit harder way with people who are navigating these streams early on in life, because I think I also feel personally people are meditating now much earlier in their lives. Like they're opening to these things much earlier in their lives because they need, because of biological stuff happening. I feel our biologies are not coping with this speed of time, the way things are changing. So, and so glad you were sharing kriyas with people to accommodate those challenges they're facing in their physicalities as well. So I'm really, makes me very happy to hear this. And yeah, really, really enjoyed this podcast. Really, really enjoyed. Really enjoyed meeting
Thank you,
you. Really
Kartikeya.
enjoyed.
Same here. I love every bit of our conversation, and I hope we're able to reach people and create that right message that why you need to be here on this path, you need to be there early. So hopefully we'll catch up soon sometime.